Hello, my dears, Daniela here, and welcome to another episode of the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. Now, we're doing something really cool today, on social media, in our DMs, emails, all the things. One of the questions that we get asked more than anything is, what is the best scheduling software out there? And there's not just this one size fits all answer, right? There's so many different types of spas. There's so many different specialties. There's so many different ways that our brains work and process information. So I don't have a personal best that I will recommend because it's reliant on so many different types of factors. So what I wanted to do to help you do the research, to help you find the answers, was bring on some different software companies that I can ask them questions, really help to find out the features and all the different things that are possible with these softwares. And we'll put them all together in one nice, neat location so that you can listen and you can do your research and say, oh, hey, that sounds pretty cool, or that would work really great for me. And so we're actually kicking this off with Square. So if you guys are using Square already, maybe you'll learn something new. If you've never heard of Square and you want to learn more about them, definitely listen in. It was a great interview. We actually did this live into our Growth Factor group and gave our Growth Factor members the opportunity to ask questions, and just turned out really, really positive. So let me know also over in the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group, let me know what other softwares you'd love to hear on the podcast that I can give you some more behind the scenes information, ask them questions, all the things. But for today, we are diving deep into Square. Enjoy. All right, Willem, thank you so much for being here on the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I'm so excited to highlight Square. And, we get asked about what booking software I should use, what is the best for me all of the time. That's one of our most common questions. And so rather than me having a glass ball or a crystal ball and understanding what everyone's needs are, I wanted to bring on some of the most popular softwares and give you guys an opportunity to promote yourself, to kind of showcase what it is that you do. And so everybody can then make their own decision as what is going to be the best software for them. So do you want to just start off by telling everybody a little bit about Square and what Square is all about?
Sure, definitely. And really excited to be here today. Thank you for the invite. And I'm excited to share more about Square and our journey. So first, I'm Willem. I'm the head of Square Appointments and Square Messages. So two tools that help spa owners manage their business and grow their business. Square is a software and payments company, and we offer a whole slew of tools, really a whole entire ecosystem of software that works very well together. Everything from custom websites, payroll, booking software, marketing, loyalty, integrated payments with our own, top tier hardware that really allows you to kind of build a beautiful experience.
So when someone is a spa owner and looking for Square, like what type of, we talk about appointment booking and things like that. Is it a full CRM where you have you can see the scheduler, it's sending the automatic reminders, it's running reports, all of that type of stuff?
Yeah, great question. So Square provides effectively an all-in-one solution to run your business. Everything from back of house reporting and insights, how your customers are coming in, their spending habits, their booking habits. And then we have a very robust calendar management system. So that allows for, multi-staff appointments and resource booking and a whole bunch of other behaviors that allow you to run your spa effectively. And then from a customer relationship and growth perspective, we offer a suite of tools, both from a CRM, knowing who is showing up, when they're showing up, what they've purchased, their booking details, all of that information, as well as it's deeply integrated with loyalty programs, as well as marketing. So outbound marketing, both on email channels as well as social channels. And I think one unique thing about Square is all of this stuff is just built to work together, right? You don't need to, stitch together 5 or 6 different solutions to try to get something that works for your business. It kind of works from day one, and everything is kind of plugged together. And one really cool capability that we've recently launched is Square Messages and Square Assistant. So Square Messages allows you to stay in contact with your customers throughout their entire life cycle, both right after the booking comes in. If they have a question, they can reply to the text message they got. If they need help rescheduling, Square Assistant is a smart AI chatbot that helps them reschedule their business. And we've seen meaningful improvements in no-show and reductions in cancellations by using Square Assistant and Square Messages. We really create these CRM tools to meet buyers where they are. We say buyers and sellers at Square because everyone's a customer. Mm-hmm. So we say buyers. So when customers come in, managing that entire relationship takes a lot of time. So if you have a cohesive set of tools that work together, you can spend more time doing what you love rather than worrying about the nitty-gritty details of ensuring people show up, managing your calendar and all that stuff. That's where our software really, really helps.
So, in skincare, we're all in, we sell a lot of skincare, we're dealing with spas. Yeah. And a lot of times, when the skincare reps come in, they want you to carry their whole line. And it's kind of like, they think their thing is the best thing since sliced bread. And I think that's beautiful and great and all of that. But we get that a lot with a lot of software companies as well, like this all-in-one integration. Mm-hmm. If someone has another software that they love or that they're using, do you guys have an open API, or how do you work with, I know a lot of the booking softwares, you can't even put a Facebook pixel in there, which is really challenging for marketing purposes, right? So how does Square approach marketing questions like that?
Yeah, good question. I think there's a couple components to dig into. One is our developer APIs and app marketplace. So yeah, there is going to be either software that works really well for your business that you want to keep using, or you want to adopt a very specific tool to help you either kind of market and grow your consumer base, MailChimp, for example. And those are available via our app marketplace, right? So sellers onboarding to Square can browse through the catalog of all these different partners and integrate. Then there's the second piece of growing your business, right? Tracking end-to-end customer growth from getting found on all the social platforms, having a beautifully curated website that really elevates your brand. And then you're right, tracking the performance of people coming through that funnel. So with Square Online, it's very straightforward to add both Google and Facebook integrations so that you can kind of manage your ad spend.
So if someone already has a website, like say someone's either paid a developer, lots and lots of money to build this beautiful custom website, or they're using a site like Squarespace or some of these other kind of plug and play templates, does Square integrate with any of those?
Yep, okay. Definitely. So yeah, for Square appointments, you can add a booking link. You can embed the booking widget if you would like. There's a bunch of different options for you to kind of expose Square appointments booking capabilities in whatever website you have already. And it's a one-click integration to Instagram. So if you want a book now button on your Instagram profile, Square appointments can help you with that too.
And so marketing is a big piece for me. We talk a lot about sales funnels and all of those types of things. So I'm going to really just keep asking you questions about this piece. So if I'm building a landing page that I want to, I'm running ads to a landing page, I'm collecting email addresses. If my landing page is of a different software, can I still put the pixel on that software, but still connect it maybe via Zapier connection or something along those lines with Square appointments to make the whole thing work?
Yeah, totally. This is some of the more advanced use cases, and I definitely love hearing that. So Zapier works with our full set of developer APIs. So there's a customers API, which allows you to kind of create contacts and all the information, which then you can send nurture campaigns to via Square Marketing or yet another marketing partner, right? Square can kind of be your hub. that connects to a lot of different best in breed softwares. We see in the industry, even people using Square products connect on average of 3 to 5 different software tools to help them run their business. So Square is both open and extensible via our APIs, but also has kind of a robust suite of first party tools if those work for you.
And I know a lot of spa owners are using Square. Do you have a division that's focused specifically on this is Square for spa and kind of guiding spa owners on how to use it? Or because I know that there's a lot of different types of businesses that use your software.
Totally. It's I think one of the best things about working for Square is that we can help so many different types of sellers with their challenges. I think Square got started in the food and bev. Right. You saw them at like farmers markets, food trucks. That's kind of where Square got started with Little White Reader. But we've been really busy over the past couple of years building kind of a cohesive software solution for a lot of different verticals. I lead the beauty and wellness kind of division, more or less, with the primary product is Square Appointments, but really responsible for the success of beauty and wellness sellers, including hair salons, spas, med spas, and a lot of kind of other beauty related sellers.
Okay, great. So can we talk about reporting? Because this is
sure.
another really cool thing. So for me, in reporting software, because I have yet to found a software that I just absolutely, they're either great at reporting or they're great at marketing, but like finding one that does all the things has been a bit challenging. How do you guys, what are you able to report? Like talk to me about inventory, about product sales, about reports on different providers. If you have a team of, 10 estheticians or massage therapists, what are we able to track in terms of like retail to service percentage, pre-book, all of those types of things? Give me the rundown.
Yeah, totally. And I would love to hear kind of what you're seeing in the industry and like as we look forward to, because we're constantly working on improving our products. So from a reporting perspective, there's multiple dimensions. First is your sales performance, right? This is what you're selling, how much you're selling, who is selling it, what categories of things you're selling. And then the second part of that is incentivizing sales, right? Commission tracking and commission payouts. If you want to incentivize a certain category of items or services rather than another, you can create commission structures, and there's a bunch of advanced commission structures that we offer, tier-based ones, right? So you can kind of ladder up, commission sales, getting a higher percentage the more that you sell. So I think incentives for helping people sell is really important component of reporting. Then there's obviously kind of just the day-to-day cash drawer management, all that other good stuff, right? Like not everything is online. Even though there's a huge growth in e-commerce that we've seen over the past couple of years, there's kind of cash drawer management and things kind of in-person retail sales. I think that the fourth is kind of goes into kind of like labor and workforce management. It's part of, I consider it kind of part of reporting. So you want to make sure that payouts to your staff are effective and fast. We offer a payroll product which has same day payouts, right? So if you sell $100 worth of stuff in that day, you can get that money in your pocket, at the end of the day. So there's capabilities with this connected ecosystem that allow you to do kind of accurate, fast payments to your staff. Then there's a whole bunch of reporting on like who is booking, right? This is the customer level reporting, repeat visits, number of repeat. You mentioned pre-booking percentages. We're seeing things like staff utilization as kind of an important trend. So the goal with Square is that you have a bunch of different facets of reporting on your business, and that you can kind of access those kind of in one place, or if it doesn't work for you, just export it to CVS or Excel or Google Sheets or kind of whatever reporting tool that you want to use to get more advanced. In
different states, I know that there's different laws around tip payouts and how that works. So how is that being managed through a payroll processor or a tip payout, or like understanding all of that?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different regulations and complexities with both tipping, taxes on tipping. There's also kind of 1099 contract, workers as well as W-2, right? Depending on how you want to manage your workforce. So Square supports a wide variety of different cases, because we kind of, cut our teeth in the food and bev industry, which has very, very complicated tipping and payout requirements. We have a pretty robust offering to help all, salon owners really, really manage tips and payouts. And, I can link to some information about the payroll product afterwards if the viewers are interested.
Sure. And can we switch gears for a second too into memberships? So memberships Cool. are another really important part of the spa industry. We're seeing a lot of upward trends in spas wanting to do memberships. Talk to me about recurring payments, setting that up. Do you have the option to set it up on a particular day of the month? Does it go immediately 30 days after? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, it's a great question. So this is an area that we're actively developing more from a Square capability perspective. We have a subscriptions product, which allows you to do fairly basic subscription management. And then we're going to be launching a robust membership management tool later this year that really helps you kind of bring customers back. I do want to touch on one thing that you mentioned is recurring subscriptions. Mm-hmm. Memberships are definitely one tool for that. There's also a lot of other customer related tools. We see gift cards as a fantastic tool to help sellers kind of, grow their business and buyers manage their cash flow, right? So you can use gift cards to kind of build that retention over time. And then I think there's one really interesting part is using kind of e-commerce to then also further reinforce your brand. One of the things that we're seeing a fair amount of is using branded retail products. There's a lot of different retail, and there's some interesting early data points coming out of, so we're live in France, and there's some interesting, bespoke beauty products coming out of France where, there's High Lab is a connected mobile app, which, is pretty neat. And, there's a lot of different factors that this app takes into consideration and can create a kind of very specific formula combination just for those environmental factors, skincare and things like that. So I think these kind of like bespoke offerings is another opportunity for sellers to kind of really create that customized experience for their customers.
So in speaking about that, when we're looking at customization for our clients, having does Square offer kind of if-then capabilities where, okay, this client came in for this service, we're going to trigger this email sequence to go off, or this client purchased this e-com product, so then we're going to start this, does Square have that capability at this point?
Yeah, so I think that you bring up a really great point is basically tailored marketing to different types of behaviors for customers. And then you mentioned too, kind of like retail and services. As far as a capability perspective, Square Marketing has what I would consider kind of basic to medium complexity features for managing marketing integrations. You can set up customer groups. Those customer groups have rules behind them. For example, someone who hasn't come in the last 60 days or 90 days or, has purchased over, $5,000 worth of stuff within the year. A bunch of different rules that you can create these customer groups. And then with those customer groups, you can either export those to other tools, or you can use those with the kind of marketing product to target, coupons, discounts, upsells, cross sells, et cetera. And there's a huge template library that allows owners to kind of customize those and email them out. Now, if that's not enough, right, then you can use our kind of app marketplace to connect a more advanced marketing partner that can then send really, really kind of, niche and bespoke marketing communications.
Yeah. So a lot of our spa owners are, moving well into the 7 figures. And when you get into that level, marketing is essential, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's getting the softwares, as I said, there's some that are so good at marketing and some that are so good at reporting. And it's like, we need those softwares to really marry the two to be able to understand patient behavior, client behavior, and then have the marketing piece next.
Yeah,
So right now it still sounds like Zapier is our friend, but having a open API is still a big bonus.
Yeah, and I think you kind of want to think about the whole software stack that a business uses, right? I mean, the core is in-person point of sale, and you need reliable, beautiful hardware to kind of really elevate your brand. And I think that's one thing Square does super, super well. We have our Square Register and Square Terminal products, which allow you to customize a lot of the in-person experience. And then you kind of can build on top of that with our open ecosystem. You can use our first party products like Square Appointments to manage your booking, which is deeply integrated to all of our hardware. And then if the marketing products are deeply integrated. And then if you need, like you said, more advanced capabilities, then we have an open API that allows you to connect best in breed software in the specific domains.
So I'd love to know a little bit more about demos and also about pricing. So if someone, do you have like a YouTube channel or something like that has help and support? Or if someone is interested in learning more about Square, do you guys do like live demos with that account individually? Is my first question. And then how is the pricing done? Is it a kind of tiered structure based on number of clients, or is it size of spa, or what does that look like?
Yeah, great question. And this is all for the Square software, right? Like onboarding and getting a seller successful on Square. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, for larger sellers, we have sales associates that can come help sellers get successful on Square. And there's multiple parts to that. One is learning about the capabilities, where we have tutorials and kind of a robust content ecosystem that they can search for via Google. And then, if you decide to get started with Square, there's also onboarding, right? Switching from your current software solution that's a lot of work, right? We totally understand that. We have white glove onboarding services that can help kind of export and data transfer all of your contacts, your appointments, really anything else to get you set up and successful on Square. And then ongoing relationship is really important, right? You need someone to call if something doesn't go super well. So we have account managers that are that engage with our larger sellers to help them both understand the rest of the Square ecosystem, because we have a whole ton of products. Like I mentioned, there's even more advanced online ordering and delivery capabilities for if you want to kind of send out retail goods to different individuals. So I think if you think about all those pieces, like Square has kind of got your back on getting set up and running successfully. Now the pricing structure for Square Appointments, it's a SaaS fee. There's kind of 3 tiers
software
effectively.
As a service.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So software it's a monthly fee that allows you access to Square Appointments. So if there's a free tier, this is really for your sole proprietors, independent folks, right? It's easy and free to get started. Then there's a plus tier, which has additional capabilities, things like confirmations and things like that. And then there's the premium tier, which really allows you to take, have resource management, multi-staff appointments, and a bunch of other capabilities. If you're interested in marketing products, and so those are priced on location. So it's one kind of set fee per location, and if you have multiple locations, then that's the multiplier. Then if you want to add on any other software products,
I see. So you're having the basic, and then you custom build the other pieces that you need for your specific location.
Exactly. Like if you want to opt one location into loyalty, you can. If you want to, use our marketing product, you can, but you don't have to. So Square provides an a la carte pricing structure that allows you to kind of pick and choose. If you want a custom website with Square Online, I think that's $12 or $15 a month. So you can use that. If you have your own website, there's no fee for that. So Square really wants to enable you to tailor the software that you need to run your business the best way possible.
All right. So we have one question coming in, and I'll go ahead. I think this is a great point to open up questions. So if anybody has something, either post it in the live stream chat. Giselle can keep an eye on that. Post it in the comments or submit a Q&A, whatever works best for you guys. If you have any questions, around Square or anything that we have talked about. But the question I'll ask you right now, Willem, is will there be an option to block a client or prevent them from booking online? So if we have a client that we're blacklisting, we don't want them in our location anymore, like talk to me a little bit about online booking and what the capabilities are for specific people.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a feature that we're working on this year. We don't have robust capabilities for blocking clients yet, but that's something here we hear loud and clear. That's something we're working on.
And a follow-up to that, something that I'm curious about, I know in some of the other softwares, one of the challenges that comes up is that clients have the ability to create their own accounts when they're logging in. And so sometimes there'll be multiple email addresses that are associated with one individual, which throws off your reporting. So how is Square addressing those types of issues?
Yeah, that's it. And it's a huge problem. Like maintaining your Rolodex, your kind of book of business is super important. So there's really two tactics that we have is one, you have kind of a global, customer profile more or less. So you can sign in with to any Square appointment merchant via their website, and it's a simple login, and then that's that one person, right? So that email is always going to be the same. Now, if you don't have to log in, you can just book anonymously, but obviously you have to provide your first name, last name, email, and phone number. In that case, the customer directory, kind of like the CRM tool that I referenced earlier, allows you to dedupe and merge automatically using some kind of advanced artificial intelligence that we can consolidate a bunch of related contacts so that you can kind of have that one set book of business that you can manage.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions while we've got Willem here live? Does Square integrate with Quickbooks?
Yes, this is part of why our kind of open API and partner integration strategy works so well. We have a very advanced integration with Quickbooks, both QuickBooks Online and certain other QuickBooks products. So that's one of the powers of going with kind of an open developer ecosystem company like Square, is that you can integrate best in breed software like accounting.
If someone, if there's an API, if there's a software that is not already in there, is there like a request process, or how does that work? If it's like, hey, I want to use this particular email service provider, like MailChimp integrates with pretty much everybody, but what if you're using, Ontraport or ConvertKit or something along those lines? How does that work?
Yeah, totally. This is a great escalation path through the account management team. We have a whole BD team that works closely with our product team. So I have dedicated BD partners that help us kind of work with best in breed software to help spa owners run their business. And there's also abilities to export data and import data that's like kind of clunky, right? Obviously, we'll kind of a simple one-click integration. And if that's not possible, there are ways to kind of pull data in bulk.
Lindsay is saying, switching to Square was a huge positive for my company. If I were to upgrade and transition to the booking appointment software, how seamless is the integration for existing sold gift certificates that are out there that were issued by our current software?
Yeah, this is why migrating between software solutions is always a little bit complicated. You have cards on file, you have payment methods that are stored, you have gift cards with outstanding balances, and kind of moving gift cards over is an activity that you would work with the white glove, kind of migration experts at Square during the sales process, and it would be something that they could handle for you.
So she would simply reach out, since she already has Square. If she wanted to transition that over, they would be able to help and support her through. Because I think Lindsay has a team of like 17 to 20. She's a pretty big spa. Yeah, that's
exciting. So I hope Lindsay has an account manager. If not, reach out to either Square support, or I will take an AI to connect you to an account management individual. Great. Yeah, you can ask them for more details, and I'd be happy to work together.
Does Square allow deposits, and does the client card info save for penalty fees?
That's a great question. So deposits is a feature that we're working on right now. We allow card on file for no shows and cancellation, and you can configure either a fixed amount or a percentage based on that service.
Any plans to integrate client forms and images upload?
Oh, good question. So there's kind of multiple products here. First is a Square Contracts product, which allows you to send out any sort of forms, pre or
Like
post booking.
Consent forms.
Consent forms, exactly. All that good stuff. And you can configure multiple of those, and you can, configure rules to send out every single time or only to new customers. So that's our new Square Contracts integration, and that's kind of all, it's included in the price of the software. As far as there's the other part of that is like a buyer intake form, which is like during booking, some information that you would like to provide. Right now, we have a notes field for that, and we're going to be rolling out buyer intake forms later this year.
Okay, but it sounds like images is a no if we're doing like before and after images.
I'll have to double check. I believe there's a capability with Square Online, but not with Square Appointments.
Okay. And Lindsay does have an account manager, so that's good. Can a person pay partially with cash and partially with a credit card at checkout?
Yes, that's so splitting up a tab, kind of an open tab, or something where you've accrued a balance, either items, services, etc. You can split payments between multiple credit cards, between credit cards and cash, gift cards and cash, etc.
And this might be just something that I don't know that other people do, but I know a lot of spas will do packages, and so is there a specific package, like way that you can ring that up, or are you doing like a gift card for that amount and removing the gift card thing?
That's a great question. Right now, the best way to do packages is via gift cards. However, we're building some more advanced package capabilities this year that's going to roll out in combination with the membership feature.
Okay, so it looks like that's all of our questions. Anything that you want to share about the direction of Square, or anybody that's, trying to make a decision on what is going to be like, what are the questions they should be asking as they're kind of doing the research to find out what software is going to be the best for them?
Yeah, totally. I think there's a couple considerations to think about, and this is based on a lot of the data that we're seeing. There's been a huge amount of upturn, in the US and globally with COVID. We're also seeing kind of staffing and keeping up with demand. There's a huge amount of demand that's kind of come in now that everyone's kind of out and about and doing business again. So thinking about how to, have software help with your kind of staffing challenges, right? And that could be the way that we like to think about it is first, if you have easy, simple to use tools, that allows your staff to kind of get back to doing what they do best, which is, their craft. So if you have kind of more clunky tools or things that don't work well or aren't reliable or payments fail or bookings fail, right? That is really, it can be frustrating, right? So we think about like, ensuring you have kind of, reliable, easy to use tools for your staff, which will, help them stay happy. I think another really interesting point is you mentioned a lot about, customer relationship management, right? CRM, and that's really the end-to-end flow. And when I think about CRM, it's both kind of re-engaging and getting people back into your business, but it really starts really early. So, identifying the right social channels to engage with, there's a lot of them out there. And like, you don't need to be in every single social channel super active. Pick the ones that really where your buyers are and create a good, profile with images. Right? Instagram is
reaching to the choir right here. So
that's right. That's right. Instagram is huge. We have an integration with Instagram, but it, really starts all the way from discovery. Discovery is kind of like brand marketing, right? You want to put the best foot forward, and that's both with images. People are, interested in the service, but also the environment, what they're going to be able to get. And then, after they make a booking decision, ensuring that the booking site and software really elevates your brand, right? It's not a detractor. And everyone books online these days, pretty much. On their phone primarily, like over 80% of bookings we see come via the phone, right? So people are booking on the go. And then ensuring that there is easy kind of reminders, confirmations, easy way to ask questions, right? Questions about what products you are offering, any sort of details, right? So that's where Square Messages is really powerful. You can easily interact with any of your customers, both on the app or via the web desktop with Square Messages. And you see all the appointment reminders and that full conversation history just right there. That allows you to kind of create a really fantastic pre-service experience. And then once they're in there in your establishment, ensuring that they have a really excellent experience both with the environment as well as post-service follow-up. You mentioned kind of marketing emails, thank yous, kind of all those little things, gift cards that are available. And one of the interesting trends that we're actually seeing out of both the UK and Australia is the sustainable product trend. Right? There's a huge demand for products that are created in a kind of a sustainable way. And I think, as we think about the kind of next generation of customers that are going to be coming into our businesses, Gen Z, they actually are looking for sustainable, eco-friendly products, and they're looking for brands that really resonate those qualities. So thinking about how to kind of create those experiences both in store as well as after they leave. I think this is also where I mentioned bespoke retail. Kind of creating a brand, and it can be simple as like a little token when someone leaves that has your brand on it. Allow them to remember your service and your business, and then easily book again and come back. And then I think finally, as you're growing a business, access to capital and lending is huge. Right. Sometimes you just need some extra cash flow. Sometimes you want to invest in an improvement. There's a bunch of different reasons. And this is where Square Capital really helps, and our kind of Square banking solution set. So I think, that's kind of a lot of me talking, but those are a lot of different things that I kind of consider, important kind of going forward.
Love it. So we are going to be obviously putting some links and everything below this episode, but what's the best place for someone to go that wants to find out more information about Square?
Yeah, you can go to squareup.com/beauty. That's probably your best, place to get started. It talks about who we work well for, software capabilities. There's kind of a form there to provide your email if you want updates about what we're building, or you can sign up and have a trial.
Wonderful. Well, as always, if you want to keep this conversation going, head on over to the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group. We'll have more information and obviously all the links below this episode. And we'll catch you on the next episode.